All right. I've been looking at shooting mats. I've never had one before. I've looked at them online. I saw a couple of do it yourself options for doing a shooting mat. Basic problems that you find with, that at least that people said they had issues with all shooting mats was is that one is that they were not wide enough and that they were not long enough. And then also some of the material that was used, whether or not there was padding or not. And then two is that either they got hot in the sun or they weren't easy to clean. And so after a lot of research, I finally came up with this basic design, and it's partly based on some designs I saw on the line and the ones I like the most, and the ones that people seem to like the most, as well as basically the materials available to me that kept it low cost. First off, you'll notice that this right here is something that I bought from Walmart. They got it in the weight section near the sporting goods area. It's basically a garage floor covering. You can use it for weightlifting and whatnot as well as a mat under your bench. It's not particularly thick. It's not, but it is, supposed to be very durable, which is the primary reason I got it. This is the side that you would normally have on the top side if you were laying this out on a floor. This is the part that you would have people walking on or dropping stuff on, so the expectation is it's going to be pretty durable. I've come up with a lot of modifications around what I decided to do for a strap, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So this is the design here. Let me get it all the way out. As you can tell, this is fairly large. This is approximately 54. This is approximately 54 inches wide, as well as approximately 6.5 feet long. As you can tell, it's pretty big. So what is it made of? Well, from Walmart, what I did is I went and purchased burlap, or not burlap, a tarp, the thickest tarp they had. It's in the same sporting goods sections. They had two tarps. This was the heavy duty one. I think it cost like $20, and I didn't end up using all of it, but it was the one that was the widest. And what's interesting about it is that you'll notice that it came, when I cut it, I cut it from the edges, and it left these little holes in there, and they're along here too as well. I just ended up covering them up with some of the Gorilla Tape that I used. That's the other thing you'll notice is that excuse me, is that you'll say, okay, well, how's it all fastened down? Well, I didn't have the ability to sew. I could sew, but I don't have a machine that would sew all of this. So what I said, okay, I'll try the poor man's way, and I used Gorilla Tape instead of duct tape. Now, Gorilla Tape I used was extra wide in most cases. I ran out, but I tried to find the widest that I could. So that's what I would recommend, is finding as wide as possible. Once I basically used that to cover the edges. Let's start with the top here. One of the things that people said was really important to them is that your bipod for shooting mat had someplace to catch. And so what I did is I took a piece of PVC, I forget which size it is, it's basically what you'd find in your yard. I think it's, I forget, 3/4 of a half inch, I think is what it is. And I stuck it inside of here, flipped over the tarp over it. I kind of hooked it over it, and then I basically taped it down. It's nothing too fancy. And now you're going to say, okay, that tape is going to come up in the heat. Well, what I tried to do to deal with that is that every place you see tape, I also sprayed some Plasti Dip. And basically Plasti Dip, the same place you get at Walmart, near the sporting goods section. It's where the paint is. And what it's for is it's for covering any material with a rubbery plastic type material. And I thought, well, that will help at least try to help seal up the edges a little bit and keep them from coming up as easily. Is that going to be true? I don't know. We'll see. I think that eventually this will require maintenance. It's by no means perfect, but for what I saw online, a mat like this, which I saw nothing like this. A mat like this, though, as close as possible, ran around $150, not including tax and shipping and all that good stuff. And it was about as large. It didn't have a good way of folding up. This one I've tried different methods. I tried methods that they tried, and there's a couple of different ways I can fold this thing, but I found that rolling it up is probably just going to be the simplest thing for me to do. So at any rate, so what you'll see is that this is tarp, and it's I basically spray painted it with the paint from the Walmart for camouflage. It's a dark drab green, which I thought would be good. But the tarp is extra thick, so again, I used it for under the idea that I would easily be able to. It's going to take a lot of wear and tear. And I also sprayed this with that Plasti Dip so that it would have this kind of a non-slip texture to it. Because the tarp is, tarps are slick. And this one I sprayed over. I debated whether or not to have the burlap, and that's what this is. It's 2 layers of burlap. One's spray adhesive down to the tarp, and then there's another layer on top of it. And then it's all taped in along the edges, double taped in most cases, where I taped it and then I taped over it again on both sides. And again, I didn't, I was I rushed a couple of times, and a couple of times I didn't. As you can see along the edges here, I sprayed this also, the tape with, and you can see where it's coming up a little bit. I sprayed it with the camouflage dark green paint to kind of give it a nice green color. So at any rate, it's outside, it's raining right now. You can see water's building up a little bit on the tarp there. I don't know if you can see that or not. The other thing too I like about this is that these holes, and I'll put the holes along the rest of the edges similar to that this one has. But that way, one of the things I saw online was that people like to be able to secure their mats for whatever reason. I guess in case it's windy and stuff like that, and certainly you can do that with this one. It's tarp material, so it's easy for me to go through, and this is designed to hold those types of fasteners. So, and it's, like I said, it's extra thick. So that then, again, this burlap is just really nice. The reason I picked burlap, I had a chance to choose some other different materials. I saw that I could have put the tint material and stuff like that. I was feeling that ball under here, but this is just extremely comfortable. It's about 30 some odd degrees outside, and this is just, it's not cold. I'm assuming it's not going to get warm either. Again, it's 2 layers of it, and you'll notice that in some spots that yes, the tape is coming up a little bit. Again, what I did is I sprayed that Plasti Dip along the edges there as well to secure all that down as much as I could. This side is pretty much the same thing. You'll see where I tried to start using some fasteners. I tried Velcro, that didn't work. So, all right. So, but this is huge. I mean, this is really large, and so the idea here is that I would lay here. I'll get down and put my tripod up against this, and it's PVC. I don't think I'm going to be pressing any harder than that. And yes, you can see my tarp colors and stuff. I just spray up all the way under there, but that's going to hold pretty good. And the fact is that if it comes up, if I have problems, guess what? I have more tape. It's not a problem. Part of the great use of tape. I wished I could sew it. Wished I had time, and I made this in basically the paint took the longest, but I wished I had time to do all of this. I did this, I cut this in sections because I saw a video of a mat that I really liked, that the guy says, hey, I've been doing mats for years, and he had his actually folded up in rectangular sections. It wasn't as wide as mine, but he had it folded up in rectangular sections. I thought, well, I'll try to do the same thing, and it was okay. It was just cumbersome to carry around, and I didn't have a, there's a variety of ways I know there's a variety of ways I can create handles and stuff, but I just chose not to do it that way. I just decided to go ahead and roll it up. But again, what I did is I cut it in sectionals, and then I laid this over the tarp, and I taped it all down with Gorilla Tape, and then I plasti sprayed the dip. I used 2 cans. I sprayed it all along the edges to help seal it in, to kind of give it that extra hold, if you will, and we'll see how it does. It's cold outside. It seems to be holding up pretty well to cold. It's gonna get marked and all those other things. It's definitely painted. Maybe there's something I can do about that, but at this point I'm not looking for it to be any more beautiful than it is. but just durable and usable is really my key. And so that's kind of it. So again, if I'm covering the materials again, I bought a really large, I believe it was 54 by 12 Super Duty tarp. It was gray and red, imagine that. I bought a 54 inch by 12 large burlap sack. It's really used for blinds and whatnot. Let's see here. And you got to have some Gorilla Tape as wide as possible. It is black, and so you'll also need a couple of cans. I only actually use 1 can of camouflage green, dark green paint. And then the last thing you need is this. If you want padding, which I did, then you can get this at Walmart. It's in the weightlifting section. They had 2 rolls of it there. It's like $20, and it is also 54 by 12, and it was like $20. So that's kind of it. You just spend the rest of the time putting the thing together. You got to wait for the plastic dip to dry and stuff, and I was anxious to get going. Oh, and you needed a little bit of PVC, something to go along here. You can try different methods. I'll try this one for a while. I may put some extra tape on there just to secure it down, but what I wanted is to give myself a lot of room to, from here all the way down to here, give myself a lot of room for any place I wanted to locate the bipod at. But I think it's going to hold up. I mean, we'll see. I'm sure that the summertime is where it's going to meet its demise a little bit in some of the taped areas. I'll have to figure out if there's other ways to secure it. But it looks. I'm proud of the way it looks right now. Again, I wished I could sew it, but I just don't have something that would go along like that and sew it with the material. I wish that I would have liked to have used the tent material that people use and stuff on things like this, but I didn't have it. So the tarp was pretty flexible and easy for me to use. So again, you can kind of see there's my grill. This thing's easily as wide as that grill, and that's a big wide grill too. So at any rate, just thought I'd give you a shot of it, see what you thought. Anyways, I will post this to YouTube and get your feedback. I'm sure you'll have plenty. Be nice. I'm happy to answer questions. I try to respond as soon as I can. So please let me know if you have any questions. Total price, if I was sitting there adding it up, it's about, I ended up putting about $70 into it. And yes, you can buy a Cabela mat for $70. You can. shooting mat, and it's made for shooting. But this is, you